Hi, Tony Selzo here. Welcome to the line. We continue to expand out of Indiana and go into some great Midwest and even West companies here, Salt Lake City, Utah. We've got a great company that I was so mistaken about what they actually did, the service they provide. They were complete XRM, before Microsoft got the idea, before they were coming off and really, building this new version of what CRM is. Complete XRM had a CRM platform on called Plan Plus Online, and they actually started it with Franklin Covey, which back then was Franklin. And I remember using this platform literally almost a decade ago, and they have really truly optimized to drive productivity for the average sales guy who's trying to build and make rain for your customers out there. Keith, how did this company come about? How did you get the idea for this? What drove the gestation of Plan Plus Online?
Well, the basic idea for building this company started on the beach in Mexico, actually, in running a real estate company, trying to manage the business while trying to take a little bit of time off and vacation and maintain some sanity, and thinking that there's got to be a better way than just paper files dealing with all this data. And this was over 10 years ago now. And so that really started us down a path of a centralized database and then ultimately having things available over the web. We went through a couple of different iterations in technology, and as internet speeds picked up and technology became better enabling over the web, we moved into this online CRM space. Mm-hmm. And really started originally inside of the real estate industry. Right. That's where my co-founder and business partner started from. Uh-huh. And then we developed a relationship with Franklin Covey around an initiative that they had to move into the real estate industry. It was an opportunity for us to move into some other industries, and we were able to take some of the Franklin Covey planning methodology and build it into a CRM software. And that was the beginning of a path that we started over 10 years ago in a relationship with Franklin Covey that started back in 2006 and 2007. And currently, Plan Plus Online, we've actually purchased the Plan Plus Online business from Franklin Covey and operate that as a separate company.
Wow.
We still have a lot of the core planning principles and methodology built into it. And for us, we really focus on what we call a culture of productivity. We realize that the technology and software and tools really mean nothing if you don't have the right culture, systems and processes built into your organization as well. And so we talk a lot about building a culture of productivity, and ultimately the tools that we build support that and become part of that culture of productivity inside of any organization.
So you've got a core really that is designed for productivity in the beginning for the rainmaker, the person there that's moving product. I mean, it started in real estate, but I mean, no business is more conditional to personal productivity than the real estate space. I mean, most realtors start off as an organization of one, right? An OEO, an only executive officer, and their personal productivity drives their income, drives what they're able to create and produce. And then you took that basic methodology, and as you guys have grown, have you seen what I've seen, like the incumbents that are talking about delivering CRM? I mean, aren't really helping the individual that's on the team, that's part of the organization, that's trying to produce and create results for the organization. It's not designed for them to be personally productive. The big guys are in this game, and that's really the difference that you guys bring, is you're designed based on those personal productivity principles that go back and harken back all the way back to Franklin. Am I crazy there? Did I just go off on a rant, or does that make sense?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, when a lot of people think of CRM software, the first thing that comes to mind is Big Brother. Big Brother is going to be looking over my shoulder and seeing if I'm making the calls. And when you're and managers and owners and things like that, they like that Big Brother approach to CRM, and that's why there continues to be a market in that space. But the thing that we do differently and the approach that we take, we actually And we actually offer a personal version of our software that a single person can use. They don't even have to be a salesperson necessarily, but we understand that if a single individual can get more productive and get more effective with some of the basic planning and prioritization skills, things like weekly planning, daily planning, prioritization, time blocking, just some really simple best practices that if you take one individual, you make them effective, you give them some work-life balance, you help them understand why they're doing the things that they're doing, and then you put a whole bunch of people like that together, that's where you go from having an effective individual to having a company with a competitive advantage. And what we refer to, we call that a culture of productivity, when you build that that thinking into the organization. And ours is a tool that supports that thinking.
Well, and I think what I also notice is that it's customizable to the priorities and focus of the organization, right? It's configurable to what is their priorities, so what are they trying to create? And so you're not conforming to fit Salesforce, you're not conforming to fit Dynamics. Your platform conforms to fit the culture and the purpose of to make everybody there productive, because it's designed from the individual out. Is that fair?
That's a fair statement. From a technology perspective, we're very customizable. I'd say one of the more customizable CRM softwares out there, especially in terms of fields and layouts and whatnot. So it's very adaptable to different businesses, but the core is really this personal productivity engine that connects the individuals to either their own personal vision, mission, or to the company vision, mission, and builds on that with the personal planning, prioritization, effectiveness skills that really every organization needs to have. Every organization tries to get those things done through various training systems and all the things that they do. And this is a CRM software tool that builds that in to the tool. So an organization that has other training programs to build that in, that actually fits right into the features of the software really nicely, and it can adapt to the systems and processes that an organization already has in place.
Sure. There's two things I want to just make sure that my audience knows, just to know how important what you guys are doing and how the impact that this can make for the people that are out there trying to be more productive, the sales teams, the sales managers, the organizations. I mean, first off, it's one login. Right, so there's not 4, 5 logins. This is one of the things that we're trying to achieve for the middle market, right? The larger companies that it's give them one login to see all the data. I mean, that innately is what you guys have in your baseline, in all of your baseline products. Am I right?
That's correct.
And then understanding today, in today's time, how much noise is going on in the marketplace and how much distractions that the guy that's on the front lines, that's there to produce actual revenue for the organization, actual revenue for themselves. I mean, I just give you a quick aside. My cousin was the number one producer for Abbott Labs. This is not a small company, but they're in a Salesforce environment. And marketing is driving the decisions and the way he spends his time every day. And he was the number one producer. In fact, he jokingly says his former territory is still the number one producing territory in the entire nation. And the funny thing about it is the reason that he got out of the business, the reason he was tired of doing what he did, because he made a great living and great enough to retire at a relatively young age, is he felt like he was doing more data entry to tell the rest of the organization what he was doing, when really what they should have been doing is looking to see what he was doing that was producing the best activity to create those results for the rest of the organization. And you're the opposite of that. I mean, you're really helping serve him to become more productive, to be an asset to him rather than to be a hindrance of his time. Is that fair?
That's very true. You got to find that balance between that end user productivity effectiveness and that what I refer to as that big brother requirement from the CRM software.
So when you're going up against these big guys that are in this space, what's the one thing that's the aha moment for the client, for your prospect to kind of go, now I get it, now I understand why it makes sense to go with somebody like you rather than the big incumbents that are in this space?
Well, the 800-pound gorilla in the room when people think of CRM software really is user adoption. I mean, there's dozens or hundreds, maybe thousands of stories of failed CRM implementations. I mean, the same piece of software that is singing the praises in one company, and the vendor will say how wonderful it is, and it's true, it probably is wonderful,
Right.
is a complete and utter failure in some other company. I mean, if you're in this industry, in this space, you're sensitive to this kind of thing, and you'll hear about the multi-million-dollar botched, failed CRM implementation. Well, it worked in one company, it didn't work in the other company. What's the difference? Well, as much as we want to say our software is better than the other, the problem arises is a lot of times around the implementation. We call it the culture. If you've got a successful sales culture, you can be successful with yellow sticky notes, Excel spreadsheets, or and dial-up telephones. You don't need to have necessarily all this fancy technology if you've got the right culture. So culture is, if you've got the wrong culture, the best, most expensive, fanciest featured CRM software is not going to fix a poor culture, a poor productivity problem.
Right.
On the other hand, if you have a good piece of software and you match the culture with that, your results are going to be exponential. And so the one thing that we do differently is we really focus in on the culture. We call it culture productivity. We've actually identified what we refer to as 5 building blocks of culture. 5 things, and really only one of them has to do with the software that you choose. The other 4 are really different areas of the organization. Number 1 is shared values. And this is shared, meaning that the employees or the staff inside the organization need to share a certain set of values that the organization has. It's not necessarily important that everybody has the exact same values, but the employees need to find some piece of that company mission and value statement that also resonates with them. That's going to help them find that connection to purpose inside the organization.
Right.
Building block number 2 is what we refer to as language, symbols, and communication. And so this is 3 words that pack a whole bunch of meaning. I've seen simple things like the values that are in the drop-down menus, as we're talking about a CRM system, that can totally derail either a report or the perception of somebody's productivity.
Yeah, every organization has its own jargon, right?
One thing, somebody thought the prospect was something else. So language, symbols, and communication. And we talk about the importance of assertive and respectful communication inside of an organization. Building block number 2 is language, symbols, and communication. Building block number 3 is what we call rituals and rewards. The things that get incented, the things that get rewarded, are the things that are going to happen again. And so the building block number 4 is what we call habits of effectiveness. You might think of this as like best practices. What are the behaviors that are the most successful people in the organization modeling for everybody else? And do you have any sort of mechanisms to extract those best practices and share them with other people inside the organization? Building block number 5, and this is really the only one of the 5 building blocks that actually has anything to do with CRM software. And so when we talk about these 5 building blocks of culture, this is something that we're sharing and this is something that we're promoting, where really only the 5th piece of this is tied to our category of software and what we call systems and processes. So every organization is going to have a whole bunch of different processes. As you go from what you refer to as the single person building a business all the way to a large organization, you get different levels of processes. You might have a process for lead capture. You might have a process for your sale. You might have a process for your implementation, for your onboarding. You might have a process for dealing with customer returns, RMAs, if you're a product company. Those are all processes, and those processes need to be identified basically independently, and then you find a system that can help facilitate that process. So a system would be like a CRM software would be an example of a system, and hopefully you can find a system that can help you string together those separate processes inside of your organization. We talk about this 5 building blocks of culture as a framework for any organization to look at something that is important, culture, and to take something that is otherwise really an amorphous, kind of soft and fuzzy. A lot of people have an idea of what culture is, but they don't necessarily have a clear idea of what to do about it. So these 5 building blocks will actually give an organization or a person inside of an organization some direction to build on to create that culture of productivity that hopefully we're all after.
Right. And yeah, and I just want to reiterate, we got to sign off here. I mean, God forbid, right? We take this technology and fit it to the culture and the people instead of trying to jam the people into the technology. I mean, that's just, to me, what was just so transformative in the conversation that we've had, just in how you guys see the market and how we see the market, so aligned. Thank you so much for being on the show, Keith. I really appreciate it. It was a great show.
Absolutely. Thank you.